Here's a quick review on the matter of warrant of arrest. You still focus your attention on Section 2 of Article 3, which is our main provision. Well, we can discuss the rules of court for this matter. I leave it to civil procedure or criminal procedure to elaborate on such points. So for constitutional law, we have Section 2 of Article 3 that no warrant of arrest shall issue except upon probable cause to be determined personally by the judge after examination under oath or affirmation of the complainant and the witnesses he may produce. Then the particularity of description also of the person to be seized. Um, what is an arrest? When you speak of an arrest, there is the taking of a person into custody so that he may be held to answer for a crime. Not all acts of the state in taking of a person into custody is in the form of an arrest because we have what we call a preventive or protective custody, which is intended to protect those who are vulnerable or those who may cause harm to others. For example, children. Children of tender age may be taken into custody during curfew or when they are in peril. Um, women who are prostituted or subject to human trafficking may be taken into protective custody, even the insane or demented. How is an arrest made? It may be by actual restraint or by the submission of the individual to the person making the arrest. So an actual restraint happens when the person may be in the danger of resisting. No, while the other one, yung voluntary sumama yung tao, still arrested. No, the reminder for law enforcement is that no unnecessary force shall be used in making the arrest. The use of handcuffs as a matter of protocol is employed because of the consideration of the probability of escape or the probability of violence. There's a school of thought that may be part of the protocol of law enforcers, which is that of symbolic. No, um, as far as handcuffs are concerned and minors, you do not show handcuffs to minors, and as much as possible, you do not use handcuffs against them unless when it is absolutely necessary. That is according to um, the Juvenile Justice and Welfare Act. When do you make an arrest? An arrest may be made any time of the day or night, at any day. It shall be the duty of the arresting officer executing the warrant to deliver the accused to the nearest police station or jail without unnecessary delay. Um, it is also imperative that you submit the person to custody after arrest because we also have the anti-torture law where a prolonged delivery may be subject of some administrative liability perhaps because a prolonged delivery among others could also be seen as psychological torture. The method for the arrest, once an arrest is made, you inform the person to be arrested that um, of the cause of the arrest and there is a warrant. That is if it's possible. But when it imperils the arrest or when there is forcible resistance, you may arrest him anyway. The police officer or the law enforcement officer making the arrest has the duty to show the warrant of arrest at the immediate possible time. He need not have the warrant of arrest in his possession for practicality. No? Because not all the time has police officers in their possession warrants of arrest because they may randomly see a person who is wanted by the law and it is not practical for them to get a warrant of arrest. But upon reaching the police station, for example, you must show the person of the copy of the warrant of arrest. And this is how a warrant of arrest looks like. Um, like there is the showing of probable cause or as a narration of probable cause. the determination of the judge after examination under oath or affirmation, and the particularity of description was it must be alleged in the warrant of arrest. What is the probable cause required for a warrant of arrest? The probable cause is such facts and circumstances which would lead a reasonably discreet and prudent man to believe that an offense has been committed by the person sought to be arrested. Um, it's different from the probable cause in the prosecutor level, because in the prosecutor level, the probable cause that they have is on the matter of the indictment of the person who is accused, no, in his level, no, of the prosecutor. The probable cause for the warrant of arrest is different because it comes after the probable cause found by the prosecutor. This is how it goes. A person commits a crime. He may be subject of an inquest proceeding or a preliminary investigation, the regular filing. If it's the regular filing, it falls under the instances where the person um, has committed a crime, but time has lapsed. Regular filing is necessary. While for inquest, it is on the matter of the instances of a warrantless arrest where an offense has been committed recently, according to the rules of court. Therefore, he must be investigated immediately. Now, the comparison is that for regular filing, you file an affidavit complaint, and the offender has the opportunity to also respond via counter affidavit. No? Um, there's a reasonable lapse of time from the commission of the crime to the filing of the affidavit complaint. So the prosecutor determines the probable cause for the indictment after the submission of both affidavit complaint and counter affidavit. Unlike in the warrantless arrest, a person may be arrested under certain circumstances. There is no need anymore for the filing of a affidavit complaint before the prosecutor, similar to the level of the regular filing. There's a complaint that is filed by the apprehending officers, um, and it is that which is submitted to the prosecutor for inquest also. But the time difference is what is material here. Another one is for regular filing, there is not yet there is no arrest yet made. Okay, because of the time difference from the crime to the filing. Here in warrantless arrest, before an accused is brought to the prosecutor, he has already been arrested without a warrant. So probable cause is found by the prosecutor, and that is a ground for him to file an information. If there is no probable cause, he will just dismiss the case anyway. But if there is probable cause, he files what you call an information in court. The information in court is what is read to the accused during arraignment. No? So the court may find probable cause for the issuance of a warrant of arrest from the findings of probable cause. No? But according to jurisprudence, the court may take may consider the findings of the prosecutor of probable cause, but it has its own discretion to find probable cause on its own and is not bound by the probable cause found by the fiscal, by the prosecutor. But he may ano he may what you call consider the findings of the prosecutor. So personal examination is also required. No, the judge is not required to personally examine the complainant and his witnesses. It may be ex parte if he is able to personally evaluate the report and the supporting documents, and on the basis thereof find probable cause. There is the requirement of particularity of description uh, for um, for um, this. We have what you call the John Doe warrant, where the person, the offender, cannot yet be named, but he is identifiable. No, if he is unidentifiable as yet, he is named as John Doe in the warrant. but the jando is accompanied with particularity of description, his peculiar um, description that would point out to him, no, so as not to make use of the jando warrant as to be a mode of arresting just anybody. There must be particularity of description. This is the exception because jando warrants are dangerous. They could be used indiscriminately, no, if there are no sufficient safeguards. So um, the distinction between search warrant and a warrant of arrest are very simple. No? First is the probability of the probable cause. For a search warrant, the probability of guilt is not required. It's only the probability that the things that are to be sought, which are subject matter of an offense, is in the premises to be searched. While for a warrant of arrest, the probability of guilt is essential. Uh, Note that the person whose premises is searched need not be the probable offender, but the person to be arrested probably committed the offense. Validity for search warrants, there is the 10-day period, and after that, it expires. But for a warrant of arrest, there is no expiry until it is served. When served, generally, search warrants are served during the daytime. No? But for warrants of arrest, it is served at any time of the day, at any time of the day or night. For the warrant of arrest, you have the obligation to show the warrant at the most immediate time. You don't have to have the warrant with you. But for a search warrant, you have to have the search warrant with you when you execute it. These are the instances of a warrantless arrest. You run through them. These are discussed more thoroughly in your remedial law. When first is okay. By the way, um, in this provision, it says that a private person may conduct warrantless arrest. Please mind that according to the case of Veresegi, if you have issues against the person conducting the citizen's arrest, you call it citizen's arrest. Your resort is not the Constitution, but some other laws, because according to the case of Veresegi, and in the absence of governmental interference, the liberties guaranteed in the Constitution cannot be invoked. Put differently, the Bill of Rights is not meant to be invoked against private acts or acts of private citizens. So you may have criminal or civil laws protecting you, but not the Bill of Rights. Um, what is the rationale for warrantless arrest? If there is no such a scheme of a warrantless arrest, we will be at the mercy of the most hardened criminals who could easily escape liability just because of the absence of a warrant and practicality, right? Diba? So the first instance, when in the presence of the person to be arrested, he has committed is actually committing or is attempting to commit an offense. This is the in flagrante delicto situation, which requires an overt act done in the presence or within the view of the arresting officer. Is there present, no? Case of People versus Villarreal, case of a policeman who saw a small sachet of shabu several meters away from him while driving a motorcycle. Supreme Court said, what's the probability of him having seen the offense directly? He was driving a vehicle. He was 8 to 10 meters away from the person holding the sachet of shabu. What's the probability of that? So the impossibility of perceiving, no? So it may not have been done in his presence. In the case of Villamar versus People, um, Villamar versus People, in the surveillance operation of the PNP, they were looking for indications of illegal gambling. They have surveyed a house, surveillance a house with um 5'7" to 5'9" bamboo fence in height, which are closely put together, you know. But they were very far from the 15 to 20 meters away from the house, and they allegedly saw paraphernalia for gambling. Supreme Court, there's no probability of in flagranto, no, um, perception of the crime because of the high fence. Um, Pardillo, they were conducting a surveillance operation, but they chanced upon person with a um, sachet of shabu. Second instance, when an offense has just been committed and he has probable cause to believe based on personal knowledge of facts and circumstances that the person to be arrested has committed it. First, there is an offense that has just been committed, and the arresting officer had probable cause to believe that, based on his personal knowledge of facts and circumstances, that the person to be arrested has committed it. Ito yung sumbong sa kanya, mga sumbong. For example, you may have in your household na nakawan kayo, nakita ninyo sa CCTV yung magnanakaw, an offense has just been committed, and then you, within immediate time, you go to the police station and seek assistance, showing evidence. An offense has just been committed, and that is the evidence of the commission. So the police officer looking at the evidence has now knowledge of that, no? Based on the reports. So when do you say it's immediate? Kasi the second element, immediacy of that the crime has been committed, no? There has to be the time element considered, no? Immediacy of the commission of the offense and the arrest, dapat hindi magkalayo. In cases, 1 day is invalid. Okay, after the killing, 6 days, all the more invalid, matagal na, no? Same day, within the 24-hour period, was accepted, valid. 3 hours, all the more accepted, no? The time element, commission of the crime and the arrest. Personal knowledge does not require the actual presence of the scene while the crime has been was being committed. It is enough that the evidence of the recent commission of the crime is patent, and the police officer has probable cause, knowledge, and circumstances. Yung sumbong evidence, ano. Like this example, another case pala, yung snatcher ito. Snatcher, kinuha yung bag from the vehicle, riding in tandem. You read this case of Tulilik versus People. This case of Posadas versus Ombudsman. Somebody died in a hazing incident in UP. The Chancellor of UP sought assistance from the NBI. They arrested individuals involved in the hazing 3 days after the commission of the crime. So the time element is too long, 3 days. Ito, read this case of People versus Burgos. Personal knowledge. This is on personal knowledge. Third is escape prisoner. When the person to be arrested is a prisoner has escaped from a penal establishment or place where he is serving final judgment, or temporarily confined or pending, or has escaped pending transfer from one confinement to another. So he is an escape prisoner, be it permanent or he is under preventive imprisonment, no? Or while being transferred from one location to another, you can arrest him without a warrant. There are other instances where an arrest may be made without a warrant. First is an attempt to escape has been made. A person who lawfully escapes or is rescued, any person may immediately pursue or retake him without a warrant at any time. Arrest of accused out on bail for the purpose of surrendering the accused to the bondsman. The accused, for the purpose of surrendering the accused, the bondsman may arrest him when he jumps bail, no? Or when the accused attempts to depart the Philippines without permission from the court. Manotok on the power of the court, no, and the bondsman compared. When you do not immediately question the illegality of the warrantless arrest, you are deemed to have waived it. How immediate is immediate? When the warrantless arrest is illegal, you must question it before arraignment. Otherwise, after arraignment, you are deemed to have waived the illegality of the arrest. Especially if you only raise the illegality of the arrest during appeal. In cases, the accused, most of these cases involve an accused actively participating on trial but only raise the error in mistake in the warrantless arrest during appeal. Supreme Court said you actively participated during trial and you cannot raise the matter of a wrongful arrest at the point of an appeal. You should do so during arraignment, no? Or before arraignment. A waiver of an illegal arrest does not it also mean the waiver of the inadmissibility of evidence, meaning even if you waive the illegality of arrest, the evidence obtained during such arrest may still be questioned as fruit of the poisonous tree. What you only waive is the arrest, the illegality of the arrest, but not admissibility of the evidence. The legality of an arrest affects only the jurisdiction of the court over the person of the accused. A waiver of an illegal warrantless arrest does not carry with it a waiver of the inadmissibility of evidence. And this is the summary um, for the last few slides. Okay, take a screenshot of it. Okay, what do you do as remedy? Before arraignment, you file a motion to quash information. You also can file damages or administrative cases against the person arresting. The use of body cameras, going back to admin matter 210608FE, pag finding of probable cause, a trial court shall issue an arrest warrant with an order requiring the use of at least one body-worn camera and one alternative recording device, or a minimum of 2 devices. The body camera and one recording device, alternative recording device, or at least 2 recording devices must be present during the arrest if you're serving the warrant. Of course, it's not required in a warrantless arrest. No? Should the body camera be unavailable, you make use of 2 alternative recording devices. You wear it in a conspicuous place and location in a manner that maximizes the ability to capture the recording of the arrest. So when the arrest is made, be in the front line, be in the front row, do not be at the back, so that the process, the reading of the Miranda rights and everything else is videotaped. Video and audio recording functions of the camera shall be activated as soon as the officers arrive, and they shall not be deactivated all throughout the process until the delivery of the person arrested to the police station. Failure to observe the requirement shall not render the arrest unlawful and render the evidence obtained inadmissible. Remember that. However, the officer who fails to comply with this rule is subject to court liability. And a final slide, remember that members of Congress are immune from arrest. A senator or member of the House of Reps shall, in all offenses punishable by not more than 6 years of imprisonment, shall be privileged from arrest while Congress is in session. And that's it for the video. I hope this helps in your review. Thank you for viewing.